How does one decide what short story to read? Roll it. Sorry about that. That's a lot of Fred Durst for this time of the morning. Fred Worst. Fred Worst. Hey, there's a pun there. There's jokes there. See, these jokes write themselves. They don't write themselves. They're not written at all. Heroic Fantasy. Let's see what we got. Okay, today we are reading from Heroic Fantasy. This is all new stories of sword and sorcery, edited by Gerald H. Page and Hank Reinhardt. This is a DAW Books, number 334. Nice, pretty yellow spine. There. You guys can read the back. Ooh, look at that. Conan and Frodo, Brack and Cain, Witch World and Middle Earth, Lands of Terror and Lands of Wonder. These are the ingredients of heroic fantasy. Basically new books. All right, let's see what we got here. This guy's got some, it's a little bit dirty. Oh, look at that. That guy's got a sweet mustache. Cover art by Jad. Jad did that. Good job, Jad. That's pretty cool. All right. Table of contents. We got Sand Sitter. No, Sand Sister by Andre Norton. The Valley or the Sorrows by Galad Elfinson. Ghoul's Head by Don Walsh. Astral Stray by Adrian Cole. Blood in the Mist by E.C. Tubb. The Murderous Dove by Tanith Lee. Death and Death and Jukin by Charles R. Sanders. The Deperche Ring by H. Warner Munn. The Hero Who Returned by Gerald W. Page. The Riddle of the Horn by Daryl Schweitzer. The Age of the Warrior by Hank Reinhardt. The Mistaken Oracle by A.E. Silas and Demon Song by Paul Wilson. The Seeker in the Fortress by Manly Wade Wellman. Looks like there's 14. Is that right? Let's double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. All right. 14. Let's see what we're reading. Some unknown stuff, some well-known authors, some authors that don't typically do fantasy. All right. Time for the Die of Fate. All right. 1 through 14. 20. Try again. 9. Number 9. This is all in one take, so you guys can see there's no tricks up my sleeve. Number 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The Hero Who Returned by Gerald W. Page. All right, here we go. All right, so I just finished The Hero Who Returned by Gerald W. Page. Now, for these Rollin Shorties, there's no author bio. I don't do any research into the story, the book, where it came out, anything about the author, nothing. It's literally I'm just talking about the actual story. That being said, after reading this, I wanted to read more about Gerald W. Page. I want to do a little deep dive, and I probably will as soon as I'm done here, just because The Hero Who Returned was so unbelievably well done. It was so well written. Gerald W. Page, I don't know what he does, what style. You guys can let me know in the comments. I'm sure many of you are familiar with him. Descriptively, incredible descriptive writer. And let me just before I get into any of that, I'll just give a brief overview of the story. So basically, he takes the heroic fantasy premise of there's this hero on a mission, on a quest. That isn't the viewpoint. The viewpoint in this is from this man Dunsey. Now, there is this oh, you guys, this was so good. There is this river crossing through this world, and it opens up and broadens into this large lake. And Dunsey, with his wife Mailwood, he has a ferry. He runs a ferry. He's a working man. He's not a hero, not a barbarian, not a king, not Conan, nothing. No, he does nothing magical about him. He's just a working man. He just runs this ferry across the lake. Now, the only thing on the other side of the lake is this keep called Kirshenley Keep. They see smoke rising from it. And essentially, this mysterious keep is the home of a ghost, ghost of Kirshenley, a cursed specter or shade. And all these heroes come to slay this ghost. And so Dunson's job is he's an NPC. He's an NPC basically because he's solely responsible for ferrying these heroes that are wanting to take on this ghost, wanting to on this quest to kill this ghost. He takes them across to the Kirshenly Keep. He waits for a while. They never return. Without fail, the heroes never return. So he comes back home and prepares himself for for the next hero on this quest. So the story opens with him going about his business as normal, and then this hero named Falk comes in. It's an older man, very mysterious, very enigmatic, and very charismatic as well. And again, he arrives. He's preparing to go across to slay this ghost of Kirshenly and rid the world of this curse. So what the cool thing is he is not like the other men who've come before. The other men that have come before are brash. They're younger men. They're men thirsty for adventure, eager to make a name for themselves. They are these warriors and emblazoned with all this fancy gear. Falk is not that. He bears no insignia on his shield. He his gear, it's nice, but it's not like he's being sent out from these kingdoms. He's not this warring prince. He's not Conan. He's an everyman soldier. Yet there's something about him. He's battle hardened. He's almost battle weary, I would say, but just a man very confident in his abilities. Well, as the night progresses, Dunstan's wife, he has a very young wife. This really is the apple of his eye. His wife is considerably younger, and he she's always looking out. He can tell that she is discontent. There is something bothering her. She's always looking out across the lake. She's always staring off into the future. She's talking of these dreams, these ambitions. She wants to travel, but on this meager ferryman salary, where can she travel? Where can he send her? So there's some guilt there because he knows that in his mind, he knows that she is perhaps too good for a simple ferryman. But what else? What can he do? What can he do? There hasn't been any wars. There's no. It's not like he can be conscripted to be a soldier and then earn glory that way. So he feels there's some inadequacy. Anyways, he notices that his wife Maelwind seems to be not flirtatious, but just very taken with Falk, very enamored by him. And again, it's not in a flirtatious way, but it is in a way that Dunsey is like, this is making me kind of uncomfortable. Um, and so they spend he Falk spends the night. They're going to prepare in the morning to take him across the river to ferry him across to Kirshenly Keep. And that night, Falk goes into his shed, and in his shed he pulls out his uncle's sword. Now his uncle was just a normal soldier, very basic sword. Had given it to him to he basically became too old, and here I want you to have my sword. Now he pulls it out of its scabbard. It's not it's not pocked, but it's rusty. He can tell it's weak. He can tell it's brittle. And he said even his uncle was like, this has never been a good sword. This has been a sword that would nick every time it hit a sword. It would hit another blade. It would nick when it would hit bone. It was not a well made sword. It never was a well made sword. It's unremarkable in literally every way. And so that night, Dunstan and his wife, her discontentment has reached a peak. He can tell, and at one point she said, "Have you?" She pressed him, was like, "Have you ever gone on any adventures? Have you ever slain anything? Have you ever?" And he's like, "You know my story, wife." And she's like, "Well, no, no, no. Tell me. I want to know," because she had spent all evening hearing stories from Falk and hearing his adventures of slaying these ogres and killing fighting this witch, but sparing her due to her lost love, or her love for her husband 400 years dead. Like all these crazy stories. And Dunstan is like, I've been a ferryman. And she's like, "You were born a ferryman?" He's like, "No, I wasn't born a ferryman. I was a farmer and I worked I worked in a smithy in a village when I was a child, and then I became this ferryman, and now we live out here alone, and we have everything we need in our small homestead." And he's very insecure. He's all these insecurities in his mind are just flowing and rushing, and this kind of dissatisfaction with his own, not dissatisfaction with his life, but maybe he's seeing this. He's finally seeing the way his wife is looking at this a hero, a man who has made something, a man who has pursued valor and victory, and she's looking and seeing these two things, and Dunson is really feeling the juxtaposition, and he says, "Well, I do have a sword. I have my uncle's sword." And she's like, "You have a sword?" And then her eyes light up and, "Has it seen much battle? Has it?" And she's going on and on about asking questions about that. And he's like, "No, like it would probably only be good for killing a pig. Like it's or and that's it. It's not. It's dull. It's rusty. It was a common sword. Well, has it tasted much blood in its groove?" He's like, "No, the groove there is for making the sword lighter. It's not drinking blood. It's not." It's just it's a standard sword that's really old and in disrepair and not good at all. And so she kind of they roll over. She goes to sleep, and he can just tell something's wrong, and he can't really put a name as to what's happening. We, as a reader, we know we're like, you're losing your wife. You're 100% losing your wife, buddy, because she's bored with you. She's a lot younger than you, and she's looking out into the world, saying, with all these dreams and ambitions, and then looking back at her small, simple life as a ferryman's wife. And so that morning, Dunson goes to take Falk across the river. You guys, this story is so good. This story is so good. He goes to take Falk across the river, and he stops and grabs his sword. And so he has his sword. He doesn't even know why he did it, but he grabbed his sword. He takes him across the river, and at that point, they reach the other side, and he's like, "I'm going with you, Falk. I'm going with you." And Falk he's a great character. He's very wise. He's like, you're not going. And Falk knows exactly what's going on. He's like, "You're afraid that your wife is looking at me," but he's like, "Honestly, I'm a I'm a fantasy. I'm a fantasy. I'm not real. I'm not, I'm a fantasy that this young woman has. What she actually wants is you, her husband. She wants this security. Like you're her entire world." And Dunson's like, I think that she wants more. She wants a greater world. She wants a bigger, grander world. And Falk is trying to dissuade him. As like, what would you? I mean, you think your wife would rather? What would you rather have? A simple but faithful, steady husband that supports her, or some man that goes off into battle and dies against a ghost? And Dunson finds himself admitting, yeah, maybe she does want that. And then I can't believe I said that. um, and so Falk refuses. You're staying here. You're not going with me. I appreciate it. What's that rusty sword going to do anyways? No. And so then Dunson waits. He waits like he always does. He sees Faulkner. He sees Falk go off to challenge this ghost, to challenge that and storm this keep. He waits and waits and waits, and again, there's no return. He waits half the day. Then at some point, Dunson does something he's never done before. He he dons his uncle's rusty sword and he goes off towards the keep. Now he passes these fields of skeletons and warriors and all people long dead, hundreds more than he remember, more than, and a lot of them he did bring over. He ferried over, but a lot of them happened from way before he was even born. This curse has been going on so long. He passes. Oh, I forgot to mention something. He passes a man who he recognizes as Falk's son. That's the reason why Falk is on this quest, is because he knows that his son has crossed over and he needs to know what happened to his son, even though he knows, and he needs to see his son and avenge his son. That's his entire mission in doing this, and so it's really, really beautiful. And so he goes. Dunson goes and he walks towards this keep. It's a simple stone structure. I love. Oh, I should have marked it down. I love the line. It says it was like a stark keep. It was plain. It was ugly. It wasn't one for heroic adventures, because Kershaw was an old warrior of old, much like Falk. Um, he was a warrior of old and of acclaim, and he says it wasn't a tower fitting for such a renowned warrior, but it was the perfect tower for a ghost, or something to that effect. It was a great line. And He ends up hearing a sound, and he knows this. First he's like, "Oh, it's a ghost," but then he's like, "No, that's Falk." And he realizes that Falk has, in crossing this bridge to get to the keep, has slid and fallen down it and broken his leg. And so this great hero is now just like so ashamed. He's like, "I'm a bumbling idiot," and it was just an accident. Like the bridge collapsed, and he has a broken leg. And so Dunson ends up, well, we need to set the leg, but all the wood on this island is rotten. It's a cursed island. There's nothing to set it and splint it with. And so he ends up taking his uncle's sword, breaking it off, breaking at the hilt off, and using that as the stiffening agent to splint his leg. But in order to get out of this ravine, they have to crawl up into the keep to lower the drawbridge because there's no way up the other side. And so they end up having to go through the keep and to get the drawbridge to get out. Bear in mind, Falk is incapacitated, broken leg, at delirious with pain at this point because Dunson had to reset it. Oh, and his sword was on the other side. So the two weapons that these men have are used as a splint. And they're confronted with the ghost. And I won't spoil what happens. I won't spoil that what happens with that, what happens afterwards. Uh, it was very interesting what the conflict with Kirshenly the ghost, especially these two men who don't have a weapon, and that was fun. It was exciting. There was layers to the beauty of it and the storytelling of it. And what's more is when at the end when Dunson returns, he realizes that, and I won't spoil it. I did spoil it. He returns, but the what he suspected with his wife may or may not be what the obvious is. You guys, Gerald Page is a good writer. Like he's really, really good. The hero who returned. So yeah, it was beautiful. It was so great. This is far better than that last shorty I read. And as I'm going through these books, and like I said, Gerald W. Page, he may be a well-known fantasy or sci-fi author. I'm not exactly sure. I've never heard of him, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. I do know that there are a lot of authors who primarily did short stories and never made their own novels, and so there are a lot of them in these books that are you're only going to find them in this book or in the original magazine. I mean, I even have some of the digests down here that I know for a fact that there are some authors in there that their stories never made it out of those digests. And so that's the only place you're going to find them is in that. And like I said, I might be wrong I'm not wrong. I might not be, that may not be the case with Gerald W. Page, but let me say this. If you're a lover of fantasy, and I like fantasy, but I'm not crazy about it. I'm like, it's not my go-to, but I every time I read it, I enjoy myself. Great. This story was actually great. And I would say if you're a lover of fantasy, you probably have this. If you don't have this, you need this just for that story, the 25-page story. Just for that 25-page story alone, this is worth it. Heroic Fantasy, Dawn number 335. All right. Thanks. See you guys next time.